Welcome back to D-Machine, the channel where we slow down, look closer, and appreciate how real work gets done in real factories. Steel pipes are the quiet backbone of modern life, carrying water, oil, and gas, supporting bridges, buildings, and everything we rely on without thinking twice. Today, we're stepping inside a Chinese steel pipe plant to watch the full journey, from raw steel to straight, tested, ready-to-ship pipe. And once you see the heat, the pressure, and the precision, you'll never look at a simple pipe the same way again. First comes the raw material, long, solid steel bars stacked like cordwood across the bay. Each bundle is tagged so the mill knows the grade, heat number, and where it's headed. An overhead crane slides in, grabs the bars, and lays them onto the feed table. Before anything gets heated or rolled, the steel has to be cut to the right length. A cold saw bites in with a steady whine, throwing bright curls of chips into the bin below. Every cut face is marked and checked, because a perfect pipe starts with a clean, square billet every single time, guaranteed. First comes the raw material, long, solid steel bars stacked like cordwood across the bay. Each bundle is tagged so the mill knows the grade, heat number, and where it's headed. An overhead crane slides in, grabs the bars, and lays them onto the feed table. Before anything gets heated or rolled, the steel has to be cut to the right length. A cold saw bites in with a steady whine, throwing bright curls of chips into the bin below. Every cut face is marked and checked, because a perfect pipe starts with a clean, square billet every single time, guaranteed. Now the billets head to the heart of the mill, the reheat furnace. A mechanical pusher rolls each bar forward, inch by inch, until it disappears into that orange glow. Inside, the steel soaks at blistering temperature so it can be shaped without cracking. You can see the scale forming on the surface, and the ends begin to brighten first. Proof the heat is working its way through the whole cross-section. This step looks simple, but it's all about control. Time, temperature, and even spacing between billets. Steady. Now comes the moment that turns a solid bar into a pipe. The billet, still glowing orange, is pushed into a piercing mill, two heavy rollers and a pointed mandrel that forces a hole right through the center. It's a brutal mix of heat and pressure, and you can hear the whole machine working as the steel begins to open up. Water sprays across the surface, hissing into steam, keeping the rollers cool and washing away scale. In seconds, that solid billet becomes a thick-walled hollow shell. From here, every pass is about refinement, rolling the wall thinner, stretching the length longer, and keeping that bore straight, smooth, and centered for the next stages. Now the hollow shell moves into the sizing section, where the mill starts turning rough tube into a pipe with a real spec, controlled diameter, controlled wall thickness, and a cleaner surface. You'll notice the steel is still glowing, especially at the leading end. That heat is critical, because hot steel can be shaped smoothly without tearing, wrinkling, or fighting the rollers. Inside these stands, a series of rollers squeezes the tube a little at a time. Think of it like taking a rough board and planing it down. Small corrections, repeated until it's true. Between passes, water sprays and steam rise off the pipe. That isn't just for drama. Cooling water protects the equipment, reduces surface scale, and helps keep dimensions stable. This is where a round becomes truly round. The machine is constantly correcting tiny oval shapes, keeping the pipe centered so the wall thickness stays even all the way around. As the tube stretches longer, it also thins out slightly, and the outside begins to look more uniform. That's the sign the sizing work is doing its job. Then the pipe rides onto long roller tables and cooling racks. Those wide beds give the steel space to cool gradually instead of warping as the heat leaves the metal. You can see rows of pipes lined up like rails, each one moving at a controlled pace. The goal here is consistency, so every piece behaves the same in the next steps. By the end of this stage, the pipe is no longer in progress. It's a real product taking shape, straight, uniform, and ready for finishing work like straightening, cutting, and inspection. Now that the pipe has cooled enough to handle, it heads into straightening, one of those steps that looks simple but makes or breaks quality. The tube rides on rollers while a set of powerful straightening wheels presses and flexes it in controlled arcs, taking out the gentle bends that hot steel naturally picks up. You can see the surface still rough with scale, and the pipe ends show a clean, open bore from the earlier piercing and sizing. Water and steam hang in the air to keep the rollers from overheating and to wash away grit. By the time the pipe exits this machine, it's noticeably truer, ready for precise cutting, end finishing, and the inspections customers actually care about. After straightening, the pipe moves to trimming because the ends are rarely perfect after hot rolling. The tube rides along the roller bed and into a high-speed cold saw, where a spinning blade squares everything up. You can hear that steady, metallic hiss as coolant floods the cut, keeping the blade clean and the steel from overheating. The first cut removes the rough head section, then the tail end gets the same treatment, leaving a clean, flat face that's ready for measuring and finishing. Those bright chips you see inside the bore are a good sign. Fresh, clean metal. It's a small step on paper, but it's what makes the pipe easier to inspect, easier to thread or weld, and far more reliable in the field. This is the part buyers trust the most: inspection, measurement, and final acceptance. The pipe rolls to a stop, and a worker checks it by hand first, looking for surface scars, dents, or anything that could turn into a crack later on. Then the real precision work begins. A caliper reaches inside the bore to confirm the inner diameter, while the cut face is checked for squareness and clean metal. Next, the pipe travels under a testing head on the roller line. Non-destructive inspection that can see problems you can't spot with your eyes. When a pipe passes, it gets marked, sorted with matching pieces, and staged for inventory. Finally, bundles are lifted by crane and loaded onto the truck, ready to ship out as dependable steel, not just hot metal. And just like that, what started as rough steel on a warehouse floor becomes something the world quietly depends on, straight, tested, and ready for the job. There's a kind of old-school pride in work like this. Heat, pressure, skilled hands, and machines that never stop demanding precision. Every pass through the line is a promise that this pipe will hold up, out on a bridge, under a street, or deep in an industrial plant, doing its job for decades. If you enjoyed this factory tour, and you want more real production lines, heavy machinery, and classic manufacturing stories, subscribe to D-Machine right now. Hit the like button, and tell me in the comments, what factory should we visit next?